Altergeist, we have Infernoble and Trap Tricks shaking up, well, another format for Duelist Nexus. Make sure you guys, of course, smash the living crap out of that subscribe button so you guys don't miss out on more breakdowns here. Now, out of this tournament, this is by far, I think, one of the most interesting top 8s that I've had the chance to actually cover, because this is all pure diversity. All right, everything that you see here tells me that post-Duelist Nexus, we have a couple of new people joining the table here. Now, this time we don't have Unchained sitting at the dinner table. We actually have Trap Tricks winning the event, which, you know, for 70 people kind of coming on out here and getting the chance to play, I'm very surprised to see that this deck crawled its way up to the top. And that's pretty good. Flaunderies coming in at the next representation. You know, M-Pen is a card. That's all there is to it. We also had Rika Son Avalon doing its thing out here. Once again, ever since like the Master showing out of Euros, this deck has been pretty much back in the spotlight. I'd still consider it rogue, but people want to argue that it's a tier 1 deck. I don't know. It's still there. Kashtira still sitting at the dinner table as well. Wow, who would have guessed that? We also had one Infernoble deck joining the fray here as well, which when we get the chance to kind of take a look at the list here, you're going to get the chance to see like how crazy, you know, some of the combo lines and things for this will look on paper, which is pretty cool. And then, of course, we had Purely out here doing its thing. I mean, you should be no stranger to seeing Purely sitting at the dinner table. I mean, the new cards add an extra flavor into the deck. And then, of course, Altergeist. Let's be honest here. You know, Altergeist is one of those decks right now that you're like, I'm happy to have it back, but you know, secretly, you're just like, I don't want to deal with this. And then we also had Sprite Runic entering into the fray as well. I mean, overall, this is an interesting, diverse top cut. All right, especially as you know, we're sitting up into the next format. Looks pretty good. Let's pass on over to top deck list. Out of nowhere, one of the most, I would say, generic builds for this actually enters into the spotlight. See, we are playing Change of Hearts. We're able to take the opponent's monsters, which is good. Bottomless Trap Hole is a one of, is pretty cool, of course. You gotta give a shout out here to Talents. And then we're actually playing Mr. Pankratops here as a going second option. Didn't really consider this all that much, honestly, for this. And then, of course, Board Breaker Central down here. I think this is one of the first Trap Tricks decks that I've seen, like, ever, that hasn't dedicated to actually having the evenly matched in the main deck. And that's actually kind of crazy at the end of the day that, you know, even after all of this, we're seeing an innovative push back here for that. Outside of that, I mean, it's still Trap Tricks at the end of the day. The deck still feels pretty strong, pretty straightforward. And it's definitely one of those decks that will be able to board break with ease, actually. No shocker there. Next up here is the Flaunderies. Look at these birdies. So we're main decking evenlies. Okay, standard stuff, no problem there. I see that we have the board breakers here, and then, of course, triple N-Pen. We really have gotten to the point now where we have more of an emphasis on the N-Pens here, getting the chance to kind of devastate the opponent. Now, this build is playing Pot of Extravagance because you actually want the extra cards at this stage. I know a lot of people might look at this and might not be too crazily happy about this, but it does help out a lot. And then, of course, we're main decking one Featherstorm, citing the additional 2. So on the off chance, you know, you need to thrust into the Featherstorm for the additional turn, you're able to do so. Once again, I mean, N-Pen's a strong card. All right, seeing the little push out in terms of numbers for this does prove to me that players are looking at this as a relatively strong deck, and I think we're going to continue to see this deck sit at the dinner table for sure. Next up is Rika Son Avalon. Hey, it's triple unexpected die with triple of the vanilla. Glad to see that these ratios have stuck around, and of course, it's our favorite board breaker in the whole wide world. Evenly matched, making their way into the main deck here. And then, of course, my personal favorite new little tech choice down here, the Spiritual Water Alway, continuing on with the ability to rip from the opponent's hand. Do not underestimate how good this card is. I say this every single video we feature this. The reason why a Pointer of the Red Lotus got destroyed out of the game, it's strictly because the value that this card gives you, the hand knowledge, is insane. And once again, we'll have to wait and see, you know, how this trend will continue on, or if we will see a little bit of a change here. But I think we're going to continue to see this card stick around as long as, you know, the Rika Sun Avalon pile does continue to sit at the dinner table here. Next up here is Cashed Here. Boo! Just kidding. Honestly, we're main decking the Shifter. Not all that surprised. Of course, good old Ghost Mourner and Moonlit Chill. Hey, I mean, it works underneath the Shifter and also burns. Like, that's the reason why you give some consideration to this card. And then, of course, it's our favorite card in the whole wide world. Flip this card up, win the game, and then your opponent stares at you and goes, wow, I can't believe you're main decking that. You're a scumbag. I feel like that's genuinely the interaction that you get with the anti-scam fragrance out here. Outside of the rest of the interactions, the main decking of the Feather Duster is cute. I actually like that. On the wrap-up of things, though, I don't see anything else too crazy here. I think that the deck is still very solid. You don't have to play a lot of cards to make up for differences. I think that, for the most part, everything is incredibly straightforward for the deck. So we'll take that for sure. Next up here, we have Revolution Synchron in our Infernoble deck. You know, for what we get added into the pile of this deck, it is crazy to me that all of these engines are able to come together. Yes, 50 cards might seem like a lot, but this is enough for you to be able to do your thing. Trying to play 60, I feel like, is an issue, but you're able to kind of curve out most of the weaknesses that you need. And obviously, you know, making the Charlemagne, getting it loaded up with Charles should be enough to win you the game. And then, of course, Angelica down here, just being able to do all the toggling and warping that you need. I'm also still happy to see the Metal Silver Armor is getting some value as well as a solid equip for this deck. Outside of that, I think that everything else that Infernoble combo still looks to do incredibly easy. All right, and shout out to the Noble Arms Museum just being a crazy good addition to this deck. Next up here, we got some Purely! Yay! We get to play the new Nor down here. You can discard a card once per turn, target one card your opponent controls, or up to two. Instead, if you have Purely Sleepy Memories material, return them to the hand, and then up to thrice per turn, when you activate a Purely Quick Play spell card, attach that card to this material, and then you can set a Purely Trap from your deck. So, they're actually playing the Purely Sharely. Let's let you target a Purely Exceed you control, special summon a level 1 Purely monster from your deck, but negate its effects, and if you do, special summon from your extra deck one Purely Exceed monster with the same rank as a targeted monster, but a different attribute by using that monster as material. And then you can apply the following effect. You can attach it to as a material to attach to the Exceed Summon monster one card with the same name as a Purely Quick Play spell attached to the targeted monster. So the card is it didn't really see a lot of play in the OCG, but it is a pretty cool addition to be able to add into the armada of things here. Next up here, we have Altergeist with, we're just playing one Malwisp. That's like the inclusion of the new card that you get here. So I'll add it to hand except by drawing it, special summon it. And on normal or special, target an Altergeist in your graveyard, except for itself, special summon in defense position, but you can activate its effects this turn. Hey, look, it's a free stepping stone for the already, you know, massively back row centric deck. And then you just get to add in the Adamina here. On link summon, you send an Altergeist trap directly from your deck. And then once, while face up on the field, during the main phase quick effect, send one card you control to the graveyard, target an effect monster your opponent controls, and take control of that monster, and it becomes an Altergeist. This does not negate effects, by the way. So you can apply whatever you're taking from your opponent, which is hilarious at the end of the day. You get so much crazy value handed to you with this. And then, of course, you know, you still get to play this little insane piece of hardware right here. Yeah, talk about your opponent not having a very fun time here. And then last but not least, we have our Sprite Runic for Hire deck. The pure advantage tree that this deck just gets to start snowballing. I've heard so many scenarios where people are like, wow, this is insane. You know, we're snowballing so much free advantage here. I mean, yeah, kinda, but to be honest with you, this deck still has issues in the metagame. And the fact that this build's not main decking evenly matched, I find a little bit weird as well, because evenly is like one of the cornerstones. Like, this card does help out a lot. So, that's all we have out of Kongs today. Remember, use discount code MCO40, get the chance to save on your purchase over there, and I hope you guys are enjoying the post-Duelist Nexus content. Patrons! Thank you.
Thank you so much for watching. Check out these other videos.